Welcome back to another brand new Round 2 Wrestling podcast here on the 21st of February, 2023. I am SlimmDa KID. I am your host with the most knowledge about professional wrestling. For those of you tuning in to Round 2 Wrestling for the first time, this is very similar to a news broadcast. We are going to break it down in 4 simple, easy to digest segments for you to enjoy. We kick things off every week the same by taking a listening to the pro wrestling rumor mill. We will then advance over to something a bit more factual and talk about pro wrestling news. If any titles were on the line across any promotion in the world, we have those results here exclusively on Round 2 Wrestling in our title matches section of Round 2 Wrestling. We are going to conclude Round 2 Wrestling with a producer and fan favorite, Did You Know? Did you know are little bits of information and facts about the wrestling world that you may or may not have known about. But that's for the end of the show. We are going to listen to the what ifs and the maybes going on in the world of professional wrestling. This is the Professional Wrestling Rumor Mill. All right. Per Dave Meltzer, AEW and AAA Mexico have a strained relationship due to how AAA helped WWE put over WWE's new signee, Dragon Lee. AAA Mexico wants to make good with AEW so AAA can eventually book a Kenny Omega versus Hijo del Vikingo to Triple Mania. That is AAA Mexico's largest pay-per-view of the year. Fightful Select says current AEW Tag Team Champions Austin and Colton Gunn have signed new multi-year deals with AEW. The length and terms of their contracts were not released at the time of this broadcast. PW Insider reports Titan Publishing, a WWE book producer, is producing a new book called The Undertaker. Ric Flair said on his To Be the Man podcast that AEW wrestler Andrade El Idolo has been, quote, training like hell, end quote, during his time away from AEW. Andrade has been away from AEW for several months, dealing with health issues and injury issues. This is a very nice gesture by Ric Flair. It should also be mentioned that Ric Flair is Andrade El Idolo's father-in-law. So whether or not this is actual, factual, and heartfelt has yet to be seen. WrestlingNews.co says AEW wrestler Kenny Omega is the much bigger name, quote-unquote, that WWE is interested in, not former New Japan Pro wrestler Jay White. PW Insider claims Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul is 100% set in stone for WrestleMania 39. Bodyslam.net says Colby Corino, a former Ring of Honor and NWA wrestler, has signed with WWE and signed with WWE last week. He is expected to report to NXT in the upcoming future. Wrestling Observer says AEW wrestler Rio could be back with AEW as soon as next week or soon thereafter. The former AEW Women's Wrestling World Champion has been away with injury for several months, and it will be a nice change of pace to see her back on AEW TV, hopefully sooner rather than later. Alright, enough of the rumor mill and the what ifs and the maybes. We are going to move on to the next segment here on Round 2 Wrestling and talk about something a bit more actual and factual. This is pro wrestling news. All right, PW Insider reports former ECW, WCW, and WWF/WWE wrestler Stevie Richards is having serious medical issues, particularly in the spine and back. Wrestlers are no strangers to injury and spend the majority of retirement, it seems, in some amount of pain. This is sort of sad news to hear about the former BWO member. Hopefully, Stevie Richards is able to get back on the healthy side of things and is able to put this behind him. PW Insider reports another lawsuit against WWE. Marvin Jackson is the newest person suing WWE, alleging he lost most of his hearing in his left ear due to pyrotechnics going off at WrestleMania Night 2 in Arlington, Texas. Jackson is seeking $1 million in damages. WWE had not released any sort of statement or comment regarding this particular allegation. AEW owner Tony Khan confirms another joint promotional pay-per-view for this year, 2023. AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling will team up for Forbidden Door 2 later this summer. Ring of Honor will return with a weekly card starting Thursday, March 2nd. Tony Khan confirmed this on the Busted Open Radio podcast. Ring of Honor TV will be available through the Honor Club streaming service. The cost of this particular service was not released at the time of this broadcast. MLW is now available overseas. MLW and AOZOT TV announced MLW Underground will be available to United Kingdom fans through Sky, that's channel 191, Monday nights, starting soon. MLW and MLW CEO Court Bauer confirmed the signing of Delmi Exo to MLW. Exo has competed for Ring of Honor, AEW, Beyond Wrestling, and more. This is an excellent addition to MLW's growing roster. Okay, no more pro wrestling ruse to think about or talk about, but a couple promotions here in the world had pay-per-views this past weekend. WWE and New Japan both had major pay-per-views with several titles on the line, and we here at Round 2 Wrestling have those exclusive results for you, the fan. So without further ado, let's talk about pro wrestling title matches. We apologize for that little bit of music. WWE U.S. Champion Austin Theory defeated Edge to retain the WWE U.S. Championship, and this happened last night on Monday Night Raw. WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther defeated Madcap Moss to retain the WWE Intercontinental Championship. NXT North American Champion Wes Lee defeated Von Wagner to retain the NXT North American Championship. WWE U.S. Champion Austin Theory defeated Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Montez Ford, and Damian Priest in the Elimination Chamber to retain the WWE United States Championship. WWE Undisputed Champion Roman Reigns defeated Sami Zayn to retain the WWE Undisputed Championship. AEW TBS Champion Jade Cargill defeated Vert Vixen to retain the TBS Championship. AEW Trios Champions The Elite defeated Top Flight and AR Fox to retain the AEW Trios Championships. Thomas Latimer defeated NWA TV Champion Austin Idol to become the new NWA TV Champion. NWA World Champion Tyrus defeated Ronaldo Freeman to retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. NWA United States Tag Team Champions, the Country Gentlemen, defeated the Spectaculars to retain the NWA US Tag Team titles. Kenta defeated New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Champion Fred Rossier to become the new New Japan Pro Wrestling Openweight Champion. New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, defeated West Coast Wrecking Crew to retain the New Japan Pro Wrestling Openweight Tag Team titles. New Japan Pro Wrestling TV Champion Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Clark Connors to retain the New Japan Pro Wrestling TV Championship. Mercedes Moné defeated IWGP Women's World Champion Kairi to become the new IWGP Women's World Champion. IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Okada defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi to retain the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. All right, enough gold in the world was retained to fill Fort Knox here in the United States. Be sure to listen to Round 2 Wrestling again to make sure you heard correctly who retained and who are new champions in the world of professional wrestling. We are almost done with this brand new podcast, and we are going to conclude this particular episode with a fan and producer favorite, Did You Know? Did you know are little bits of information and facts about the pro wrestling world that you may or may not have known about. You gotta love the bell. Did you know in 1999, the WWF Tag Team titles switched hands 10 times in 96 days? That averages out to about a week-long title reign for each of those tag team champions in that 96-day span. No wonder the weakest division in WWF has been and forever will be its tag team division. Did you know Barry Horowitz had a 7-year losing streak? Beginning April 25th, 1998, Barry finally ended his losing June 26th, 1995. Did you know Brian Pillman was WCW's first cruiserweight champion, with WWE Hornswoggle being the last? Did you know NWA TNA, aka Impact Wrestling, started out as a cheap weekly pay-per-view wrestling promotion? Did you know NWA TNA actually had a second TV show at one point in time called Explosion? Did you know 5 of the first 7 Impact champions were former or future WWE champions? All right, that is the conclusion of Round 2 Wrestling this week. I am SlimmDa KID, and once again, I want to thank you for tuning into this particular podcast. Be sure to tune in next week, where I will bring you more news, more rumors, and more results from the world of professional wrestling. Round 2 Wrestling is brought to you by SlimmDa KID and Spreaker.com.